Hello, Doctor. I've been thinking about our last session, and I just wanted you to know that I'm not a bad person. I know taking naked photographs is wrong, but you don't know what it's like until you face the same temptation. I'm assuming you don't know what it's like. Do you have an extra hour, Doctor? Thank God for that. There's someone else in my hour, a hooded figure, watching me and following me. I've followed it too. Dr. Dekker frequently used that paper spike on his desk as an example. I'm sure he did it with the other patients too. He'd make me look at it, touch the point to see how sharp it was. He'd tell me that because I think it's sharp, it will hurt me. But if I thought it was nothing, it could pass right through my hand. I don't know who it is. My initial thought was that it was you, that I told you about my affliction and somehow you'd got it too. Now I think maybe it's the military or some organization that wants to use the hour themselves. Maybe it's Dr. Dekker risen from the dead. I need to talk to you about him. I'm surprised I haven't been approached earlier. I mean, my skills in the military. Special ops would be a breeze, wouldn't it? Waltz in past everyone during the midnight hour, get whatever you want, and return to friendly soil. It also makes me think that they might already know all of that, and that they want to get rid of me in case I tell anyone else. Would you do something for me if they get me? Would you tell Jessica I love her? She didn't really know me that well, but I did love her. And also, there's a hard drive in the bottom drawer of my drinks cabinet. Please destroy it. Please, don't look at it. I spied on Dr. Dekker, not long before he was murdered. I'm not sure I should tell you what I saw in his basement. I'd been feeling uneasy with Dr. Dekker for some time. I mentioned how he'd changed before, so I began spying on him at home. One night, the basement door was open, and Dekker was returning upstairs. I skipped past him, and there she was, a girl. It was difficult to tell, it was dark, and she was chained. I removed the chains, dressed her, and sat her in the police station. There's no evidence, though. No evidence of what he'd done. But she was free. I saved her. I'm not evil. I destroyed evil. Whatever it is that's following me, it doesn't want to catch me yet. If I move towards it, it runs away. And when I follow it past temptations. A bar brawl, an open till, an open bedroom window, like it's testing me. I split the brawl up. I did nothing. I'm not stealing anymore. I looked in. Watching other people is somehow built into our genes, Doctor. There was an old woman in bed. I went inside. Her bed covers were smoking. I think she'd fallen asleep holding a cigarette. I took the covers and put them in the bath. She'd have died otherwise. And no, I didn't take any pictures. I'm actually a classically trained pallbearer. There are a lot of health and safety considerations. Not everybody can do it. Well, properly at least. Occasionally I step in if the funeral director is short-shouldered. I do remember her face. She wasn't upset in the usual way. She seemed agitated. Her husband must have been a giant. The coffin was so heavy. I remember because aft port side sprained his ankle. That and he wasn't lifting correctly. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, Doctor. I saw Claire Castleford's husband in the coffin myself before carrying him to the grave. He is in the ground. I'm sure it wouldn't take much for the police to get an order to have him exhumed. Just make sure it's done on Tuesday morning when I'm off. Jessica is a beautiful woman. I've not spied on her since the incident we talked about. I have real feelings for her, Doctor. We've never connected. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. It's nice you think I'm capable of such basic interaction with females. But I'm still in awe of her, really. I will think about it, though. I put my hand through a rusty nail at work today. It hurt like hell and bled like I'd been shot. I closed my eyes and thought, this isn't happening. The nail is just a worm, and it will wriggle through me. When I looked back, can you guess what I saw? When I looked back at my hand, it was healed. Look, see? My hand had healed. The nail had become a worm and was wriggling in my palm. It was like a little miracle, like magic. I shouldn't really say miracle or magic. They're words that Dr. Dekker used when he tried to get you to think things and make them real. But do you think it's real, Doctor? That magic is real? And so it isn't. I envy you, Doctor. I wish I could be so sure. I find using nautical terms to describe the position of pallbearers fitting. Plus, most of them are 3 sheets to the wind. You know, drunk.
I'm fine. I'm ready for my grief counselling. I emailed you Mariana's address. I don't know why you'd want it. I suppose you're going to start doing home visits now, like Dr. Dekker? Doctor, if you don't want it, don't text me and ask for it. It's all right. I don't mind doing menial tasks for you. Someone has to do them. Yes, Dr. Dekker started doing home visits for Mariana. He said she couldn't concentrate properly in his office. I hope you're not thinking of doing the same thing. I need you right where I can see you. Checks and balances, Doctor. Somebody needs to be watching the watchman, so to speak. Make sure you're helping, not hindering. He probably did his fair share of helping and hindering. He was definitely helping in the beginning, but then seemed to lose sight of things. I think he was so overwhelmed by the patients he was getting. His curiosity just got the better of him. There was a definite turning point. Somewhere around the time Professor Alderby turned up, that seemed to unsettle him. And then we had a flood of extra weird patients. I think it was all too much for him. I think I misjudged him. I hope you deal with it better. Grief is such a strange word if you keep saying it. Grief, grief, grief. It sounds like somebody's being whipped. And you're going to ask me how I feel today? I think that's all settled now. We are agreeing to pay Ben £5,000 and he's agreeing not to say anything about what he saw. He thought he saw a creature coming out of Dr. Dekker's mouth. Well, at least that's the reason he's given for not emptying the bins that night. Either way, it's not the kind of publicity that we need. Shiny, happy, sane people. It's in that police report that I gave to you. You should really take a look at it. Some mornings I come into work and still expect him to be here. Sometimes it feels like he actually is here, watching over me. We had a connection. It's gone now, though. You can't have a connection with the dead, can you? Not for too long, anyway. Dr. Dekker asked me to have dinner with him for Valentine's. I refused, obviously, because you don't sleep where you eat or something like that. But it was flattering, especially with competition like Mariana around. Sorry, I didn't mean I was competing. I was happy Mariana was going out with him. I didn't want to be romantic with him. We had a stronger connection than that. Dr. Dekker and I shared some philosophy. We'd both read The Cult of the Kinetic Mind, and we agreed with a lot of what it said. Have you read that book, Doctor? In Cult of the Kinetic Mind, the author suggests that everyone is capable of psychokinesis and that the cult leaders specifically had these powers that turned their followers into disciples. It's not a fun read, but if you're into psychology, it's a blast. Psychokinesis is the ability to change the physical world without actually touching it, just by using your mind. It's not just about bending spoons. It covers all sorts of things like telepathy, telekinesis, telesabalas. Shoot me, I'm a Kojak fan. Like I said, all those cool things are in Cult of the Kinetic Mind, apart from Kojak, obviously. If you ever get a patient who thinks they can change the world with just their mind, then duck, just in case they can. But seriously, do a whole load of shrinking and make them better. Whether you believe in psychokinesis or not, you'll need to figure out your approach with those that do. How do you make people who think they have special powers better? Do you remain passive and support, encourage them, take them away? Things could escalate. Building trust is one thing, but at what cost? No, not at all in my experience. Dr. Dekker had an unusual number of patients who claimed psychokinesis. Either he'd been specifically looking for them or someone had been sending them. It's entirely possible that someone is targeting this practice with psychokinetic patients. To what end, I don't know. It's no coincidence that most psychokinetic patients are diagnosed as insane, or at least temporarily insane. It's a handy diagnosis if you're facing criminal prosecution, especially if it's for murder. I was at home on my lonesome, Doctor, like I said before. Honestly, I think Dr. Dekker had a bit of a crush on Mariana, or vice versa. I'm not really sure. There's some footage from their home sessions if you want to see them. That was a joke, Doctor. I guess we found our level. Oops, that was a strange thing to say, wasn't it? Whipped. Am I all whips and chains in the bedroom or dominant in the boardroom? Don't answer that, it's not a question. It's early days for a harassment suit yet, what with Ben's nervous shock already. Dr. Dekker did send me to see his mother once. She was dying in a nursing home and he didn't want to see her. I remember him calling her a manipulative, evil old hag. You tend not to ask any more questions after that. I didn't really speak to Nathan that much at all, but I have this strange feeling that I know him really well. I can't quite put my finger on it.
Professor Warwick, I'm a physicist. Where's Dr. Dekker? Is he really? Actually dead? Not a worthy adversary after all, then. Dr. Dekker challenged me. He tried to use my theories against me. Quantum theories. Do you really want to know? Dekker's eyes used to glaze over whenever we talked about that. He didn't believe in quantum physics. As if it's something that you can optionally believe in. Well, it started with an experiment. Have you heard of quantum suicide, Doctor? Quantum suicide is a thought experiment that tries to explain the many worlds theory. You're looking at me blankly. I can see that you don't understand. I knew you wouldn't. Alternate universes. Essentially, if I were to shoot myself, then in some alternate universe, I'd still be alive. Now imagine if I could actually choose that universe. I'm taking a product off a supermarket shelf. Well, I simply applied that logic to something different. Gambling. I set up an experiment whereby I would visit a casino and place a very large bet at a roulette table. Now, I would always bet on odd. Now, the results of this particular experiment were mundane. I won as many times as you would expect according to the laws of probability, but then I changed a parameter. Why not gambling? My wife Vanessa left me for a neurosurgeon. She emptied our entire combined wealth into her barrister's wallet. I needed more money. Physics provided me with a solution. We were married for 14 years, 7 months and 3 days. Vanessa couldn't have children, at least that's what she told me. She grounded me in reality. I'm not complaining. It's probably what I needed. But part of me always thought that one day I'd achieve immortality through science and we'd be... It wasn't to be, though. Well, yes, it bothered me, especially now that I find out that she's pregnant. Oh, no, it wasn't a rocket scientist that was required, but a brain surgeon, it seems. I have considered putting that neurosurgeon onto his darkest timeline. But I'm not a killer, it would seem. Quantum suicide required a loss of life to make it a realistic thought experiment. So I simply upped the stakes. Every time I bet on odd, I would place everything I had on that one spin of the wheel, and it worked. Well, for a while. Dr. Dekker killed it, and I can't get it back. Well, my theory, quantum gambling. If the stakes are high enough, you will win every time by simply shifting your consciousness into that branch that wins. It's tricky, but it can be done. Dr. Dekker didn't like that. He saw me becoming rich and powerful, and he hated that. That's why he proffered the hangman's paradox. Well, imagine a judge sentences you to death. Now, it will be Monday or Tuesday next week, but it will be a surprise. Well, which day do you think you'll be executed? Well, Monday does seem likely, yes. Because if you're still alive on Monday at midnight, then Tuesday won't be a surprise. But if you're sure that it's Monday, then that won't be a surprise either, will it? Dekker tricked me. He told me that sometime in the future I would lose a bet, that I would lose all of my money. Now, this didn't seem likely because I had quantum gambling on my side and it was working. But he unnerved me. He made me doubt myself. And then it happened. Recently, I lost everything that I'd managed to build up since Vanessa left me. Honestly? Well, I think he feared quantum physics. He didn't like things being explained in terms of science, almost as if he'd have preferred chaos. I was at a fundraiser for a charity called Mind Stretch Outreach. Don't know how I got roped into that, I can't remember. But it was full of very clever children with bizarre outlooks on life. And Jaya. It was Jaya who asked me to go. It's full of poor kids with very capable minds. I did give them a talk on quantum tunneling once, and they loved it. Not sure it'll put dinner on the table for any of them, though. Oh, you're going to have to Google that, Doctor, I'm afraid. I'm not a walking Wikipedia. I'd love to tell you, but I am paying you by the hour. Maybe look up Schrödinger's cat whilst you're there. Oh, she's Dr. Dekker's lovely assistant. I imagine she's your lovely assistant now. Yeah, she always smiles and makes me a cup of tea before a session. That smile. Which reminds me, my session. Can we talk about my problem now? I'm not a gambler, Doctor. I'm a scientist. I need more money. It's true I've run out of money for my research. An opportunity has arisen. Quantum gambling. It's a pet project. It's got nothing to do with work. But if I don't have significant amounts of money to lose, then there won't be enough jeopardy for the experiment to work. A very wealthy group of individuals have offered to pay me a very large sum of money if I attend their next private soiree. They don't want a talk or anything like that. They want a practical demonstration. They'll pay me £1 million if I can successfully survive 6 rounds of Russian roulette. Now, I am worried because of what Dr. Dekker said, but, well, I can't help but thinking that the stakes are so high I can't possibly lose. What do you think, Doctor? Should I take them up on their offer? Splendid. I can't lose, Doctor. Let me demonstrate.
I've told you all I know about Dr. Dekker. He started out good, then turned a bit crazy towards the end. When you start giving people more problems as a therapist, that's a bit crazy. I started out with depression. Now I seem to repeat days. Even if you don't believe the repeat days, then I clearly have extra mental health problems that he's given me. I think that he possibly cursed other people, a bit like he cursed me. Sometimes you could see he was bursting to tell me about it, but he couldn't. He was ecstatic with power. The curse. Well, remembered. I was hoping you'd forget. It's going to sound crazy. Dr. Dekker said I would never be able to move forward until I came to terms with my grief. And so from this point on, I start to relive the same day over and over again until until I made something of it. I believed him. I didn't want to believe him. I remember I said, "You can't just say things and they happen." He laughed and laughed. I think he was going mad. He said he'd give me a demonstration. He held his hand outstretched and told me to look at the flame. There was no flame, and then there was. He was holding a flame in his hand that had come out of nowhere. And he tried to hypnotize me to make me forget it. I didn't forget seeing the flame. He wanted me to forget it all, but I didn't. For whatever reason, he couldn't undo what he'd done. I was scared. I pretended like the hypnosis had worked. I was scared what Dr. Dekker would do to me if he found out I still knew. So I had to play along, keep coming to the sessions, pretend I hadn't seen what he'd done. It was awful, because I was suffering through the same days over and over again, but I couldn't talk to him about it, because he'd know. I burned the photos of Hannah. It didn't work. I suppose because the loss was superficial. The next thing I burned was the rocking chair. That worked. I've been getting rid of her stuff ever since. There was a day when I attacked a Salvation Army bin, but I gave in. I accidentally put Hannah's diary into a Salvation Army donation bin. They're like huge post boxes with a circular tray that makes sure things spill to the bottom. I tried to get in to get it back, but I gave up. I read the last few weeks of Hannah's diary a while ago. I must have accidentally dropped in some clothes for the Salvation Army bin. It's funny, because I wasn't going to read it. She said she'd fallen out of love with me, that she was going to break off the engagement, that she didn't love me anymore. I regretted it. I regretted that I mourned for Hannah so long. I regret the grief. I regret all the days I slept through because of it. Had I known she didn't love me anymore, things would have been different. I'm a bit angry now. If I had that day over again, I may just still pull out in front of the driver. I didn't notice Dr. Dekker had a paper spike. I haven't really seen more than a foot in front of me since Hannah died. Can we maybe not talk about Hannah anymore? And thanks for the dating advice, by the way. I signed up for a dating website. It's a bit easy, to be honest. If I message something they don't like, I change it when the day replays. It's not very honest. If I'm being honest, I'd probably rather ask out one of the patients I've seen here. The friendly redhead with the accent. He'd become bored of me, so I got much of my insight from calls or messages he'd take during our sessions. I think because he hypnotized me, he didn't want to play with me anymore, so I got basic therapist. He told me lots of people get depression, to become more active, see more people. And although he wouldn't always be there to listen, Jaya would be. Yeah, I talked to her quite a lot. I'm not sure how many days of that she'd remember. She seemed to care, which is more I can say for Dekker. I didn't kill Dr. Dekker. I wanted to be as far away from him as possible. I don't know who did.
Dr. Dekker used to put my checks on that thing. I guess someone thought they weren't getting value for money. I actually don't have a lot of money. Sometimes a therapy check would bounce, but Dr. Dekker would be okay with it. Oh, my checks are fine though, don't worry. I'm not broke. Men buy me drinks at bars though. Sometimes I'll get away with not paying at restaurants. Isn't that how it is for everybody? I mainly like drive-thrus. I don't like crowds, and I find it difficult to stay in the same place for too long. I guess I'm a fidget. crowds at nightclubs and bars are different. The lights are dim. You can slink around without attracting too much attention. Sometimes I'll kiss a guy in a club, and then he just follows me wherever I go. It's creepy. I don't want everyone seeing that. They follow me wherever I go. Anywhere. Where do you think they follow me, Doctor? It depends where they follow me. If they follow me home, they bang on the door for an hour or so, then leave. Other places, they just disappear. I don't see them again. They don't just disappear into thin air. I think they return to the place I found them. But I've not run into the same person twice. You've got a good memory, Doctor. Let's talk dreams. Sometimes I'll dream about a light, deep in the ocean somewhere. I head towards it because it's warm and glowing, like a beacon. When I'm at the bottom, it's the most beautiful thing, like a welcoming sun, like I'm home. And then I wake up. It's so beautiful. It calls me. It's like I'm in a trance. What does the dream mean, Doctor? Yes, I suppose I follow that glow like people follow me. I still don't know what it means, though. I'm okay. Thanks for asking. It's rent day, and I always feel a little blue on rent day. Rent day is the day I pay rent to my landlady. I've had no blackouts, and I haven't been to the beach since our last session. But I think I will today. Do you want to come with me to the beach? Doctor, I think you're getting a little anxious. If you ever wanted to visit the beach, you can just turn up. It's not mine. It's just good manners to accept when someone offers to buy you a drink. I'm a very good-natured girl. Don't you think I'm sweet, Doctor? I think you're falling for me, Doctor. Don't let that get in the way of helping me. Yes, they follow me home. They're silent. It's like a trance. There was one guy, a real gym buddy. I let him into the bedroom, but nothing I did would stop him just staring at me. It was creepy. I got him to follow me outside, and then I just shut the door. Yes, Doctor, sometimes they follow me to the beach, and the next thing I remember, I'm blacked out and naked, shivering in the sand. Who knows what happened to them? Are we still talking about him? And I thought you were just interested in me, Doctor. Dr. Dekker suggested home visits. I think he was probably checking up on his investment. You're not thinking of doing home visits, are you, Doctor? I can't afford any more sessions, so it sounds like you'll be paying. That's a date, isn't it, Doctor? I'm not sure that's appropriate.
It's true then. I'd heard Dr. Dekker was stabbed, but I didn't know for sure. It's weird that whoever did it would choose the paper spike. Dr. Dekker used to play with it in our sessions sometimes. You know, pick it up, handle it while we talked. I remember once, he pushed the spike through his skin. At this bit here, between his thumb and his finger. He said he didn't think I'd mind the sight of blood, being a nurse and all that, but actually, there wasn't any. I was a bit freaked out. At first, I thought it was a trick. A magic trick, you know? Like some kind of therapeutic test. Show the patient this retractable spike and see how they react. But it wasn't. The spike was real. Dr. Dekker gave me the paper spike to try. It wasn't fake. It was pretty sharp, actually. I don't know how he did it. He said he just thought that it wouldn't hurt him, so it didn't. I'm fine. Work's fine. Hilda's fading fast. Terry's Terry. Oh, you'd be pleased to know I don't have the locket anymore. I gave it back. All of it. Every single keepsake. Hilda's nearing the end. She's been sleeping a lot, not eating much. She hasn't been that argumentative either. Although, she did give me a vicious scratch yesterday. It was nothing. I was just trying to give her meds. It's hard, you know? I'm trying to help her, but she keeps fighting me. It'll be better after she's seen her daughter. I've decided I'm going to do it tonight. She hasn't got much time left. You know the answer to that, Doctor. What have we been talking about? What can I do for Hilda that will make it all better? Seriously? No, that isn't what I meant. That's the plan. I know, it sounds unbelievable, like I'm making it up. I wish I could prove it to you somehow. We could try shifting now. Think of someone you really love. It might help if you close your eyes. Are you thinking of them? Can you picture them? Okay, hold on. Sorry, I don't think it's going to work. On the bright side, that probably means you're not going to die anytime soon. It's tricky. I mean, I'll sound exactly like Hilda's daughter, but I try and keep it vague because I don't become her. I don't know what she would really say. I say things like, "It's okay, don't be scared, I love you, Mum," or "I love you, Dad." But it doesn't really matter what their relationship's like because it's not really them. I always do the Disney version. The best, most loving version. That's what my patients want to hear. And maybe deep down they know it's not the truth, but it's got to be better than the reality. Does it really matter if it isn't the truth? Isn't it worth it if it brings them peace? Tell me honestly, Doctor, do you really think that what I'm doing is wrong? Good, because I really feel this is something I have to do. You told me to. Well, not in so many words, but you said I shouldn't have kept them. And what with Terry going around telling everyone I stole them, I didn't feel like I really had any choice. The lockets, the watch, the ring, but I kept the little bird Sarah Dekker gave me. I wasn't supposed to mention her. Dr. Dekker's mother. She was one of my first patients, but she died a while ago. Terry seems to have backed down since I gave the keepsakes back. Actually, it doesn't seem like she's been very well. Not her usual self. Maybe she's got a bug or something. As far as I know, it only works on people who are close to death. That's the whole point of it. I have to hold their hand, and they have to think of the person, and they have to be near death. And those seem to be the 3 criteria. It just makes things complicated, doesn't it? I knew Dr. Dekker's mother before I started seeing Dr. Dekker. She's dead, and now he's dead. I'm sure you're gonna have a field day with it. Yeah, that's the reason I came to see him. I knew she was dying, but he refused to talk to me unless I booked a session, so I did. And well, here we are. I told Dr. Dekker that his mum was dying, that he should see her before it's too late, but he wasn't interested. It wasn't like he hated her, it was just like it wasn't important. He asked me to take care of it for him. He did send his assistant along to see her once. Sorry, your assistant. It was about the 2nd, 3rd session we had. He said he could tell that I was a good person, that I wanted to help people, and that I should think really hard about how I could do that. That's how I discovered shifting. All Dr. Dekker did was encourage me to think. But the shifting, that's all me. And my mum's a psychic, and my sister's an empath, but I was just ordinary. I always felt like I wasn't special, like I was missing out. But I wasn't. I just hadn't discovered what I could do yet. Sarah Dekker was one of the first ones I tried shifting for. I didn't really know what I was doing that first time. I mean, I didn't actually expect anything to happen. I just thought, what would really help this woman? I thought maybe she would just imagine that he was there. But it actually happened. I changed into him, Dr. Dekker. It blew my mind. My mum's got these spirit guides and they tell her things. Mostly about my love life, it would seem. To tell you the truth, I don't really know what an empath is. I should probably Google it sometime.
You can stop looking at me like that. You've made me do this. And don't try and escape. You're all tied up. Now tell me the truth. Is this a dream?